So it is almost 6 o'clock and I'm live, and it looks like there are three people here. I have no idea who you are because I can't see. So if you can say something in the chat, I will respond, and we can use the chat throughout this conversation. If you have a question, you can drop it there. I'll try to answer it while we're talking. So, welcome to my YouTube channel and my first live ever in the history of me having a YouTube channel. Hi, Kathy. Hi. I'm going to talk to you guys today about why I left my job, my good job, as Black folks like to say, and I'm packing up my house and moving to Mexico in exactly 4 weeks. And yesterday, April 1st, is the day I became officially unemployable and unemployed. And if you follow my blog, you know what I mean when I say unemployable. And I'll drop a link in the comment in the description so that you can read about what I mean when I say unemployable if you're new to my channel. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and you will get notifications of when I go live and when I post to the channel. Thanks, Kathy, and thanks for being here. There are 4 or 5 other people. I have no idea who they are because they haven't said anything. Hi, Sandra. So a little bit about me before we get into why I decided to leave my good paying job. And it was a very good paying job, I have to say. And I have to drink because just talking about working all these years is triggering to me. And cheers to not having to answer to anybody anymore. Hey, Rhonda. But I've been in executive management for about 20 years. I'm a lawyer by training. I've worked in executive management in the nonprofit sector for about 20 years, and 15 years of that, well, management for 20 years, and about 15 years of that has been in the executive management, which means, a vice president or director or something or the other. I've had oversight of HR for pretty much all of that time, as well as other areas like communications, IT, finance, global security. So I know a thing or two about a thing or two. I know a lot of stuff, but so do all of us, and most of us as Black women are very accomplished. We're usually the most accomplished person in the room, though we're usually the person who gets the least kudos and respect in the room, despite everything we know. And so I've been doing what I was doing for a very long time. And with the exception of probably my first director job, where my supervisor was a Black man who is still one of my closest friends and my mentors, I've never really felt like I was free to be who I wanted to be. Hi, Athena. I always felt like I had to make myself smaller to accommodate other people. And there was constantly, tone policing before that even had a title. The gaslighting made you feel like there was something wrong with you. And always the questioning of your qualifications and what you knew. I always felt like I had to pull out what I like to call my freedom papers. So I always had to be over-prepared for every single thing to prove that I had a right to talk about what I was talking about. And if any of you have been in management positions, or honestly, not even management positions, any responsible position in any company as a Black woman, you know what I'm talking about. And you can give me a thumbs up or something, but I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. And I kind of got to the point where I was really tired of it. And I would say tired is probably the primary reason why I just got to the point where I started thinking I needed to find something else to do. But I wasn't quite at the point where I was ready to actually leave, but I knew that I wasn't happy. And I'd gotten a coach probably a couple of years ago. I started talking to a coach, but I was more talking to a coach about professional development type things. And because, it was being put into my mind that there was things I needed to do around my communication, and that there were issues that I had primarily around my communications. No one ever questioned my ability to do my job because, frankly, I know how to do what it is that I do. But there's always the narrative that there's something wrong with your communication style, especially when you're a person who is a direct communicator. and likes to tell people the truth without a lot of candy coating. Hi, Francis. And I remember when I started working with the particular coach that I was working with, that she asked me a lot of really hard questions, and some of them were uncomfortable, but they made me about, what my purpose was, what I really wanted to do with my career. And it made me really begin to think about, is this really what I want to keep doing? I know what you mean, Kathy, because I'm super outspoken. And I don't think it's outspoken, it's more being truthful. People ask you to tell the truth, but then they're not happy when you tell them the truth about them, or when you tell them the truth about something that they're not doing the right way. But I really started thinking about, well, is this really what I want to be doing? And at the same time, I was traveling a lot for work, which was one of the great perks about my job, was that I got to travel a lot. And I remember being in Africa in 2017. I was in Ghana. Was it Ghana that I was? Yes, I was in Ghana, and I went to the Cape Coast Castle. And I remember standing there looking at the ocean while the tour guide was talking about all the people who had been shipped from there to slavery, the transatlantic slave trade. And I remember standing there and thinking, I should leave America. And it was weird because that's what came to my mind. And I could leave America. But it was just one of those things that, it comes into your mind and then it leaves. But it was something I thought about. And then I started thinking about it again in 2019. And I don't know how many of you know about Driven Spice. She lives in Portugal. But I watched her channel a lot. I watched a lot of YouTube. And I watched her channel and I watched episodes about her. And she's from Washington, D.C., which is where I live. And she was talking about why she moved to Portugal and how she got there. And another friend of mine had just come back from Portugal on vacation, and he was raving about how much he loved it. So I decided to book a trip to Portugal for May 2020. And I was like, I'm going to check out Portugal because I really need to start thinking about, if I want to move abroad, even for a short period of time. Portugal sounded like it was a great place. It's in Europe. I love Italy. I could go to Italy if I wanted, but Italy's very expensive. But Portugal sounded pretty reasonable. So I was thinking about, let me visit Portugal, check it out, see if I like it. And then, of course, COVID happened. And right after I got back from almost month-long trip to Thailand, COVID happened. Hi, Alicia. And it was very depressing because I was really unhappy at work and really was feeling like this is not something I wanted to keep doing. So I felt kind of stuck. And then at the same time, now I couldn't travel and I couldn't go anywhere. And so it was and then the whole George Floyd thing happened. And, there's a lot of talk about Black Lives Matter and DEI. And honestly, for me, that was a very depressing time because I really felt that a lot of the talk is just exactly what it is. It's talk. People say all those things, but they have no intentions of doing anything. And especially in professional spaces, there's a lot of what I call performative DEI and performative behavior where people say the right things, but they have absolutely no interest or intentions of really doing anything that's going to change anything for people of color in the workplace. So frankly, it was a very depressing time for me as a person in management, sitting where I sat, to have to be sit and listen to some of those conversations on top of everything else that I was feeling. And then, of course, my mother was not well. My mother had Alzheimer's and was not well. So all of this was happening at the same time. And then on July 25th, my mother died, 2020, last summer. And it was not something that was unexpected. It was something that we all kind of knew was coming. We knew it was going to happen. And in a lot of ways, it was a relief for me because my mother had really been suffering. Alzheimer's is a really horrible thing to watch someone you love die from, because it robs a person of their memory. And it was a very hard time. But honestly, I was relieved that she was at peace. But then 5 weeks later, my nephew died. And my nephew was one of my most favorite people in the world. Um, he actually lived with me for almost 2 years. He lived in my basement. He was one of the best tenants I'd ever had either. And he was just an all around wonderful person. He died suddenly and tragically and unexpectedly um, at the age of 30. He was laid to rest on his 31st birthday last September. And I think that was a harder thing and still is a hard thing for me. The idea of thinking of him in the past tense. And he was somebody who loved travel. He was really interested in international affairs, which is an area that I worked in. We talked a lot about going on a trip together someday, and that never happened. And there are just a lot of things that he wanted to do that he never got to do. And it really made me stop and think about how important time is and how important it is how you spend your time. And I think that all of us think that we have more time than we have. And it made me realize that the things that you want to do, you must do them now. You cannot wait to and think, oh, I'm going to do it next year. Oh, I'm going to see that person tomorrow. Oh, because you may not be here tomorrow and they may not be here tomorrow. So it really made me stop and think, what are you doing? If you don't want to be in this job, you need to get out of it. If you want to move, you need to seriously think about moving. And I decided that I wanted to get away. I mean, COVID was a gift in that way because all of us were working from home at that point. And that was really great. For a lot of people, they missed being at the office. I never missed being at the office. I did not miss having to sit in those meetings. I did not miss having to have those fake interactions. I did not miss any of it. And I thought to myself, I'm working from home. Why don't I leave and go somewhere? And where was open? Mexico. And then at the same time, probably like a month after my mom died, I want to say, my sister, who watches YouTube almost probably more than me, definitely as much as I do, and we were both watching a lot of YouTube last summer because we were like gardening like crazy because we couldn't get out of the house to do anything else. My sister lives in Florida, but we talk every day. She sent me a video of Stephanie Perry having a YouTube conversation with Queen Michelle. And I'm sure lots of you have seen this video. And I had already subscribed to Stephanie's channel, and I had subscribed to not her channel, but her blog. I had seen a video of hers, and I think I might have even mentioned her to my sister, but my sister sent me the video and was like, have you seen this video? And it was such a great interview where Queen talked about how she retired and moved to Lake Chapala. And then I got an email, because life is funny and the universe is funny once you start thinking about something, how it aligns with your thoughts. I got an email in my mailbox about the Exodus Summit. And I thought, oh, this sounds interesting. I think I will check this out. And during the Exodus Summits, which to me is still probably the best virtual summit I've ever been to, and I've been to lots of conferences, I've helped organize conferences, I've done that as part of my job. And I think it was one of the best best conferences, period, but definitely the best virtual conference I've ever been to. And I can say that because my company also put on a virtual conference, and I don't think it could even compare with what Stephanie and Rashida pulled off with that conference. But I attended the Exodus Summit, and I got to, hear from a lot of women who had moved abroad, some to Mexico, Portugal. Driven Spice was there. Claire Soares was there, who has Up in the Air Life, who runs Up in the Air Life. And there were lots of women who were coaches, who were doing lots of different businesses and living abroad. And Stephanie talked about her house sitter school. Rashida talked about moving to Mexico City. And I thought to myself, I definitely should go to Mexico. I'd already thought maybe I should take a couple of, weeks and go to Mexico. And that was really just to get away because I was just really sad at the time. But then I was like, I'm definitely going to Mexico. So I actually booked my ticket to go to Mexico that in September. And I went to Tulum for 3 weeks. And while I was in Tulum is when I decided that I really liked Mexico. I didn't enjoy being in Tulum, and I've written about why in my blog. But I really was like, this is a really great country. And I'm going to check out Merida because a lot of people were talking about Merida. And so that kind of started my journey in Mexico. And once I came back, I decided, if I'm going to think about Mexico, hi, Shelley, I'm going to apply for my residency. And so that's what I did. But I say this all to say, it's very important to understand a couple of things. And the thing that I really learned in this is that you have control over your own life, nobody else. If you don't like your life, you are the only person who has the power to change it, nobody else. And the idea that you can't change your life is a lie, plain and simple. If you don't like the way your life is, change it. If you don't like your job, leave. Life is extremely short, and it's too short to be doing things that you don't want to do. Yes, you need to make a plan. You absolutely should. You need to have money to do this, but I don't think you need as much money as people think you need to have. I am not a ditherer. I am not a navel gazer. So by nature, I'm not a person who takes a long time to make any decision. I figure out what I need to know. I do my research and then I make a decision. Because the other thing is that if you move somewhere and you don't like it, you're not a tree. You can move somewhere else. You don't have to stay there. You can come back to the States if you want, or you can go somewhere else. So the idea that, if I go and I don't like it, what's going to happen? Well, pack up and leave and go somewhere else. Or move to another part of the country, whether it's Mexico or Europe or Africa. If one place doesn't work out, maybe somewhere else will. So that can't be the excuse for why you don't do something different. But if you're so unhappy that you literally don't want to get out of bed in the morning, which is kind of where I was, then you owe it to yourself to try to do something different. You can't make any excuse for why you wouldn't, because at the minimum, you're not going to be sadder than you are. And I can honestly say that I feel so much at peace, even though there's a lot of things going on around me right now. I'm moving. I had the wild idea to decide I would renovate the kitchen in my basement at the same time while I'm trying to get ready to move. So it's a little stressful. My house is a mess. It may look neat behind you, but this is the one neat part of my house. And there are boxes right that way, right this minute. But I've never been happier in my life. I can honestly say I have never been happier, because when I wake up in the morning, I'm excited about what I'm going to do, the emails that I have to write, the things that I have to do, because I'm doing them all for me. I'm not doing them in service of anybody else's agenda, anything else that anybody else wants. A lot of times which were things that were completely at odds with my value system, with my ethics, with my beliefs. I don't have to do that anymore. And so I'm so much happier than I've ever been in my life, because I don't have to go to a job that I don't want to go to. I don't have to deal with things and people that I don't want to deal with. And I know that if for whatever reason Mexico doesn't work out, I'm going somewhere else. I'm not coming. If I come back to America, it's going to be because I'm literally down to my last $10 or something. I ain't coming back here. I'm going to make this work. And that's a fact. And I'm not Superwoman. I'm not doing anything that any one of you can't do. The bottom line is that you have to first make a decision. That's the most important thing. You have to make a decision. And then you have to take actions that align with the decision that you make. And you have to put yourself first. And I think that as Black women, especially, we don't do that. We put everybody else first and we don't put ourselves first. And I would really encourage you, it's not selfish to love yourself, and it's not selfish to put yourself first. Because if you don't care about yourself, it's really hard to look out for other people if you're not taking care of yourself. So that in a nutshell is the reason why I decided to leave my job. I left my job because I had to, that I simply couldn't do it anymore. And I would encourage you guys, don't do what I did. Don't wait until you literally can't take it anymore, because a job is not supposed to be an endurance test. It's not. And I think that a lot of Black women are in positions and jobs that they hate, that they're very unhappy about, and they feel stuck. But you're not stuck. You can unstick yourself. If you are stuck, you have the power to unstick yourself. And one of the things that I intend to do in my new adventure is I'm going to do everything that I can to give women, especially Black women, the information and the resources and the tools that they need to set themselves free from all this bullshit, if that's what they want to do. I'm an attorney and I worked in HR for almost 30 years. And so I plan to put all the information and the knowledge that I have to position women, especially Black women, to take a little bit of control back. And I'm going to do that in two ways. And you guys have seen my posts. You've seen, if you're in my group, you've seen lots of posts and you've heard me talk about this. But I am putting together a directory of Black women-owned coaching companies, because I want women to have access to the kind of people that I have gotten to work with. I can honestly say that I would not have come to the decision to leave my job and to move if I had not been working with a coach. And she was the person who made me see that I had the power to change my life and nobody else. And people have asked me, someone asked me today whether I thought that I had just done all of this myself. And I would love to say that, oh yeah, I'm just really great and I just came up with all of this myself. But honestly, if it wasn't for her asking me some hard questions, I would not have come to the conclusion that I came to. And I've been working with a business coach who's been fantastic in terms of not just helping me come up with certain ideas, but helping me think about them in realistic ways. The ideas that I have for the directory and the masterclass, of course, are mine, but she's really helped me focus them in a lot of ways that I would not have. And the idea of creating branded products and opening an Etsy shop, I owe a lot of that to my coach. I really have to give her a lot of credit for supporting me and giving me really great advice about how to not just do what I'm doing, but to do it well. So I really think that a coach is really beneficial, especially to Black women. And one of the things that I would advise is read your professional development policy at your company. If it allows you to get a coach, get one and see if you can find one who looks like you. Because I can honestly tell you that if my coach was a Karen or a Kristen or a Becky, I don't think that I would be sitting here right now. So I really am a huge fan of hiring a Black woman as your coach. And that's why I'm creating the directory, because I want Black women to have access to other Black women in this regard. And I'm also creating a masterclass about how to turn a hostile work environment into a golden parachute. And when I say golden parachute, I mean money. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of women are being subjected to work environments that are not only unhealthy, but they are illegal. And I want women to have the information to know what to do without having to hire a lawyer, that will allow them in some cases to walk away with some money that you can then take and do whatever you want to do with it. Go to Mexico, start a business, go to Vegas. I don't care. But I feel that if these employers are going to continue to subject people to problematic work environments and show their asses, they should have to pay for the privilege. And so I am going to do whatever I can to make sure that women of color, and specifically Black women, have the information and knowledge that they need to not feel like they have to put up with these kinds of environments and feel that they're stuck in them. Because you're not stuck. You can unstick yourself. And in some cases, you can unstick yourself with some money. So that is what I wanted to share in this little chat. I don't know if there are any questions that any of you have. Alicia said, I'm 6 years from retirement, but don't want to go back to work. So using my severance and vacation to buy money to, I don't see everything that says, using my severance and vacation buy out money to travel. That's what I'm talking about. Good for you. But I hope this has been helpful to you guys. If it makes one person crystallize a decision, then I will feel that this was worth doing. I'm not a big fan of just coming on here without anything of value to say. So I hope that you guys have found this valuable. And I hope it gives you something to think about. You know, if you love your job, that's great. And I'm really happy for you. But if you don't, I don't want you to feel like you have to be in a situation that you don't want to be in. This is not necessary. I don't think that what I did was easy, but I also don't think it's as hard as many people may think it is. So I just want you to know that if you want to leave, you can. You just need to, make a plan. But I would, one of the things I would emphasize is don't plan forever. Don't plan yourself into oblivion. Create a reasonable plan, talk it through with someone, and then get to the action. I'm very big on execution. Get to execution. Don't just sit there and I gotta do this in my house, and I gotta save $50,000, and I gotta pay off every single debt that I've ever had in my life, and I think you can do some of those things. Do I think you need to do all of them? No, I don't. And I may differ with some people in that regard. I think you need to do the best thing for you. Do the thing that you can live with. But by all means, execute. If you're going to leave, have a plan, map it out, and give yourself a date by which you're going to go, and make sure that you hold yourself to it. Do not just be like, one day I'm going to do that. Someday I'm going to do that. No. Set a day and say in 6 months or in 12 months, I ain't a big proponent of nothing longer than 12 months. I am going to move to X, and map a plan that's going to allow you to do that. And then just act. And if you need to get an accountability partner, I think a coach is great. But if you don't want to get a coach, then you need someone to keep you accountable and keep you honest, right? But I really do encourage you to not dither, because the thing is, we think we have more time and we don't always have it. And so I really would encourage you to remember that. If you don't remember anything else I said, I want you to remember 2 things. You have the power to change your life. Nobody else can change it but you. And none of us have as much time as we think we have. So the time to change your life is now. So this has been fun. I hope it's been useful. It is 6:28. So we're exactly 30 minutes, which is what I wanted to do. If you guys have questions, I don't see any, you can drop them in the chat, or you can, if you're in my group, several of you are, you can ask me in the group. I'm happy to answer it. If you found this useful and would like me to do it again on another topic, you can make a suggestion, and I'm happy to come back on live and talk about another topic. I know some people want me to talk about how I set my Etsy shop up in 6 weeks, and I'm happy to do that as well. And speaking of which, my Etsy shop is now open. That is a shameless, what I like to call a shameless pitch. And I will also put a link to that in the description for the replay of live. So thank you so much to the 16 people who showed up. I don't know who you all are, because YouTube isn't showing me everybody, only the people that are chatting. But I really appreciate all of you being here. Made this a lot easier than I thought it would be. And I let you guys know when I'm going to do another chat. Thanks for being here. Bye.